want you to imagine, listeners, packing up your life, saying goodbye to everything familiar, and moving to a new country to build a life aligned with your values.
Because if you think it's plug and play and it's easy, like they show in Hollywood, you're out of your mind. If there's not a problem that day, then it's not right. You always got to find something each day to make sure you're on your toes.
Did you find anyone laughing at you? Because I did. People laughed at me.
I got a Philly accent. They laugh all the time. And I don't have hair anymore, so they laugh twice. But you know what, my good friend? When you walk into a room, honorable intentions and good faith, you could be the person not only knows 2 vocabulary words, but that smile and your hand gestures and your body language and really just trying to be there in the moment to feel the energy. Some of your best friends are made when you see them when they're most vulnerable, and it depends on how you treat them. Your true people will be with you during those moments, the good and the bad. Absolutely. On the key to unlock certain doors, it's by paying it forward through compliments or just by saying someone's name if they have a name tag, thanking them, or letting somebody know how amazing somebody is if they work with them or they're friends with them. Love and positive mindset is the best medicine.
Always remember, be human. Just with small little acts of kindness, by noticing, just by asking somebody, how are you doing?
And I said to myself, Richie, you're going to fail. And you got nobody else to blame but yourself. That's one of those times you want to talk about that moment when you either sink or swim. I needed that self-sacrifice in order to be reborn again. Dip your toe in the pool of life, try to drink it if you can, and see where it takes you.
Welcome to Rosabel Unscripted, the podcast where authenticity meets real life stories. I'm your host, Rosabel Zohfeld, and in each episode, I dive into unscripted conversations about personal growth, life challenges, and the experiences that shaped us. From heart-to-heart chats with inspiring guests to raw moments of self-discovery, I am here to share stories that connect us all. Whether you're seeking motivation, healing, or simply a dose of real talk, you are in the right place. So get comfortable, tune in, and join me on this journey of transformation, empowerment, and meaningful conversations. This is Rosabel Unscripted. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Rosabel Unscripted, the space where unfiltered conversations meet purpose, passion, and possibility. I'm your host, Rosabel Zohfeld, and today's guest is someone, that I've been wanting to talk for the longest time, and I believe he's been wanting to talk for the longest time. Yeah. Feel important. I want you to imagine, listeners, packing up your life, saying goodbye to everything familiar, and moving to a new country. What I did, though, by the way, thinking about it. But in your case, Richard Blank, you went chasing a calling. And that's exactly what you did. You were 27 years old. Why don't I let you tell the story about how you left Philadelphia and moved to Costa Rica? Not for vacation, though.
Being bilingual is one of them. I grew up actually native English speaker, but my favorite class in high school was Spanish. So when I graduated the proud Abington in Northeast Philly, I decided to double down and be a Spanish major in college at the University of Arizona. And you and I know, being a nurse, being a writer, being a mom, and all the wonderful things that you do, you sometimes have to go above and beyond. I consider it dedicated practice. There's no way I could learn Spanish if I only did what the classroom required. And so I wanted to live it. And then, as you mentioned, my friend, at 27, I had this 1 in a million opportunity in August of 2000 to move here just for a couple months and work at my friend's center and teach English. And I don't know about you, I had the cosquillas, I had the butterflies and the sixth sense to say, Richard, why don't you stay? And I learned the business from the inside out, working at my friend's center for 4 years. And 18 years ago, Rosabel, I threw my hat in the ring, started my own company. And here we are today, Costa Rica's call center.
Wow, what an encouraging story for all of us, including me, that I am just starting this new adventure, with my podcast. But life is all about that, right? Like just starting and reinventing ourselves, right? And you build this company from the ground up. And it's just amazing. But to build a life aligned with your values and not necessarily society expectations, to me, that's even more something to admire. So now you are the CEO of Costa Rica's call center, 7-figure business, right? You employ about 150 people. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. And how nice to be a CEO and to, as you say, build something. And that's fine. When you've accomplished it, you're satisfied, you're proud, and you're fulfilled. But a lot of the people don't see the grind. And so real quick, when I first started, I started a website in November 4th of 2007. And then I landed my first account February 6th of 2008. It was only one seat, but I didn't have the building. I didn't have the computers, the stations, or even the employees. And so I was renting a turnkey station at a blended call center, like renting a seat on an airplane. And so I did that for 2 years where I could pay the overhead, the person's salary, and make my margin. And so was it glamorous? No, but it was beautiful. Kind of like the first gym you join, you get the gritty. And then I rented space, and I was very smart about this because I was buying used furniture and equipment. I mean, brand new Dell computers in a sense that I wasn't paying import tax, but also I needed a team. This wasn't a home court advantage. So let's call it as it is. I needed a human resources director that knew the labor laws. I needed a local attorney and an accountant and a director. Could you and I imagine going to school for that? And so I knew the trunk of the tree, Rosabel. I just needed the branches and the roots. And that's how you sometimes grow a company, by delegating, by expanding, and having faith in others and their skills and growing together. Because if you think it's plug and play and it's easy, like they show in Hollywood, you're out of your mind. If there's not a problem that day, then it's not, it's not right. You always got to find something each day to make sure you're on your toes.
Absolutely. And it takes a certain amount of self-trust. And I love how you describe, to me, what you're describing here, it seems like a vision quest.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's organic. But you know what? It's about living with yourself. It's being true. And
yes,
maybe a lot of your friends back in the day, Rosabel, had a plan. I didn't have a plan. I was immature. I didn't have the structure, the discipline, but the Spanish from the Latino community would give me such positive feedback and say, go Richard, go, and here's some more vocabulary words, and how much fun it was. And I was the only one that could do it out of my friends. So was it cute? Yeah. But then again, I was taking it seriously. I knew that this was the long game. And so it's so nice to have that go-go juice in you, that gasoline that can give you the long play. And so I always knew that if I had this second language in my life, it would take me to nice places. So
yes. That courage that I always talk very much about, that courage that is actually inside of us. All we have to do is let it be free and do those things. Even when it's not pretty, though, by the way, talking a second language is not easy. It's incredible because your story is like kind of like mine, but in reverse, right? So you were trying to learn Spanish,
so
me English. Now you say Spanish was, you kind of had you kind of like the idea of learning Spanish, if I'm correct, right? Me, on the other hand, let me just tell you right there. I remember 8th grade and just being like, English, what do I need that for? And I had the worst. Like, I remember this girl who was like top of the class. She knew how to pronounce everything perfectly. Me, I was like, in fact, one time the teacher told me like, then I went. So actually I tried, I started medical school in Colombia because that was one of my dreams to be a physician. And then I had to, like, it was obligated. Like you had to take nine levels of English. And the teacher told me like, if you're going to go talking like that, they're not going to like you. I'm like, it's okay. But anyways, so we go on with life and we discover ourselves. And, sometimes we're born out of necessity. But here's the difference. Once I was presented with the challenge, like perhaps, okay, I'm going to live in the States. I need to do this the best way I can, right? And so possibly that's also what kept you going. It's okay, I want to give the best. I want to be able to communicate with these people the best possible way. And it's a way, of us giving back to those who have helped us, strive and so on. So thank you for that.
There was a lot of expectation, though, Rosa, and a lot of family guilt and people that were naysayers and gray believers because they didn't understand as you say, the journey and courage.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you this because I need to say, did you find anyone laughing at you? Because I did. People laughed at me.
I got a Philly accent. They laugh all the time. And I don't have hair anymore, so they laugh twice.
No, but so let me just tell you this real quick. When I learned, okay, I'm going to move to the US or I'm about to go there, you know what I started doing? Like, oh my God, I got to ramp it up. I got to learn the language, right? And so what I did is I started labeling everything. And so my name was always Rosabel, but I don't know why I did this. I'm I don't know, 19 years old. I'm a little silly. And so I was telling everybody, my name is not Rosabel. My name is Rose. So everybody, Rose. laughing at me. How silly that
They're laughing
all
with you.
people.
You shed
Right?
some
That's
skin that
right.
day. It's you're being bold and brave. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with a romantic in a Renaissance. Did people laugh? But you know what, my good friend, when you walk into a room, honorable intentions and good faith, you could be the person that only knows 2 vocabulary words, but that smile and your hand gestures and your body language and really just trying to be there in the moment to feel the energy. It could be done in any language or any culture. People love
Yeah.
that because they see you're trying extra hard and they like you. In some of the movies, the sidekick only speaks one word, and he says it in the movie, like, my man,
Kind of like
but
Arnold when he was starting, right?
yes,
He only knew
100%
how to say it,
correct.
I'll be back.
And so you learn how to communicate through different levels. And I used to do it through electromagnetic energy. I would really just try to be a positive person, obviously not understanding. But then again, my friend, when you're in an environment, you have 20, 30% of the vocab, you can kind of guess what they're talking about if they're discussing something. So it really works other parts of your mind as well. It's deduction, it's organization. And they do say crossword puzzles and second languages are the things we need to keep our heads in the future. So we're smart about that. But they were laughing with you. They knew that you
Yes.
were trying so hard. And of course they're jealous. And even today, a lot of my friends wish they could. They just never put in the time. But I guess that's what separates us from others.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. But again, we learned so much. I mean, and I did. I laughed with them too. I thought it was hilarious. But again, that is the best part. If we can laugh ourselves,
Yeah.
half of the battle right there is won. To me, that's we have to have that humor because sometimes life is not easy, and we would probably want to cry. My mom used to tell me, let's put a smile on and keep on going because sometimes that's all we have to do, right? But I'm sorry. I know you were talking about courage.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just trying to think, and we were discussing it earlier. A lot of it has to be made on your own. And listen, Rosabel, it's beautiful to cry at certain times. It
It
may
is.
be inappropriate and it may be misunderstood. But man, if you feel that sort of emotion where you love something so much or you care about something so much, I think it's therapeutic. It gets things out. You sometimes are surprised at yourself that you thought about something so deeply. Now, if there are people that cry all the time, they might have issues. And some people that never
Yes.
cry, I'd have to ask the
Right.
same question. But I tell you what, some of your best friends are made when you see them when they're most vulnerable. And it depends on how you treat them. And so
Absolutely.
I've seen grown men cry. And so
Yes.
you have to take it a certain way. And if your foundation, your relationship is that much deeper.
Thank you for bringing that out. That's
No,
absolutely.
I'm your biggest fan. I got your back. Whatever you say, I'm definitely going to put a positive light on it and motivate you. Come on, give me something else, Rosabel. A rose.
Wow.
I like the rose. I had an aunt
The
Rose and she was a
rose, yeah.
painter. That's cool. Rosa. I like that. Let's do
Rosa.
that.
Yeah. So I actually end up naming my daughter. Her name, the first name is Elizabeth, and middle name is Rose. Probably as a
Wonderful.
anthology or an idea of my young self who was reborn from the ground. And on that, because I don't know if you know this, but my mom passed away when I was 17. So that kind of shaped a lot of the things that have gone on today. And it brought me back because of what you were saying about emotions and crying and feeling and those things. But I mean, we are made of that. I mean, we have to.
But I want to
it's
know the
part of being
real
true to
you.
ourselves.
No, it's true. I
Yes.
mean, I can't learn everything, but if we're
Right.
going to be real friends and we're going to have this real connection, I want to know the real
Absolutely.
you, as long as you're willing to share. So
Absolutely. Yes.
your true people will be with you during those
tribe.
moments, the good and the bad. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. That's one of the things I'm discovering. I am so I've been talking about it lately about finding your tribe because I wrote a book. My book, I just actually have it right here.
It's awesome.
Called The Courage to Succeed, a True American Dream. And you always, like in anything that you do in life, you'll get, again, fans, and you'll get people that may not like what you do, right? So I talk about it very, very much. But our job is to find out people that resonate with our message to keep on going into it. Maybe once in a while, we can bring some of those who one day were kind of the skeptics. Let's put it that way. Who
I
knows, right?
found a key to unlock certain doors. It's by paying it forward through compliments or just by saying someone's name if they have a name tag, thanking them or letting somebody know how amazing somebody is if they work with them or they're friends with them. And so
Absolutely.
because if you see somebody, they're usually wearing a mask or their head is somewhere else. So you don't really get to see the best of them or that person in the moment. And so with me interviewing so many employees and talking to so many people, I try to ask certain zig and zag questions. Like you said prior to the podcast, do you just want to wing it? I go, of course, Rosabel, let's go have some fun. Let's loosey-goosey this thing. And so that's why at my environment, I collected pinball machines and I had a game room in my office. Why? So I could see a different side of you. You can laugh. You can play. You can take down that mask of so seriousness, professionalism, and show me the true person. Show me a time you beat up a bully or saved a kitten. And so I got to give somebody at least a chance to show me, to open up a second time compared to just pleasantries and social graces. That doesn't count. That's what you do with everybody. I want to know if you can anchor, Rosabel, anchor with me and find something where we can bridge and where it's not judgmental. It's just like, you love ice cream, right? So do I. And that's one of the things we have in common. We can do that. And so start slow, start easy, just to find the first downs in these relationship building.
Absolutely. And that's, thank you for mentioning that, because that's one of the things I'm trying to do with the podcast. I'm trying to build a community, but you're busy. I'm busy. We're all busy, right? And I work Monday to Friday. I used to joke that my social life was literally interacting with my patients in my clinic, right?
Yeah.
But I want to talk to people. I want to have these conversations. And that's when the podcast idea came. I am so happy to be able to have these conversations and for others to listen and to perhaps one day even become a guest here and become part of it. So I am so honored again to have you here. But I want to ask you, you seem like a boss that I would love to have. It just reminds me of somebody said, who wakes up in the morning and said, I want to be boss around my boss or something like that, right? Oh, who wakes up in the morning and say, well, I can't wait to go to work and have somebody telling me what to do or whatever. But you seem like a very approachable. It be fun to work around you. Somebody who perhaps not only see the side of the grinding, the business, but also the human behind it, every job that they do. So can you tell me a little bit more about that and how do you balance being a CEO?
That's an excellent question. Well, first and foremost, I wish I was retired last year. And no one wants to work, but we'll get to that later. Right. I have a luxury trade. I'm very fortunate. I am an owner of a call center and everyone has an experience calling and receiving calls from individuals. And sometimes it's pleasant, sometimes it's a nightmare, but I see it as the art of speech. There's nothing better than rhetoric and structured delivery. And when you are in a controlled environment like you with your patients, you can see patterns and it's a certain sort of focus group that you work with, patients, telemarketers. And so when we do our quality control and we analyze the adjustments of tone, the pausing, when to use names to ask certain tie-down questions if things make sense and sounds good. We do these things in order to have checkpoints. So people, don't have to repeat something multiple times. I need for you to know that I know that you know that I know what you're talking about. So we just do things diplomatically. But what a beautiful dance. And I'm going to pay you the biggest of compliment. I always mention bedside manner and the soft skills that the most talented physicians and nurses had. Because if I'm not mistaken, love and positive mindset is the best medicine. And when you have a doctor like Patch Adams that says, excuse me, what's the patient's name? Stop with all these other questions. That's the time you get the eye contact and the connection. And so I'll be remiss to say that we are comparable to what you're doing. You're angels that save lives. We may change lives. We might retain a client and give an experience better to somebody, but we really try to stay engaged and really understand the moment, because you'll catch certain things from people, certain positive or negative reinforcements. They could do breathing. I mean, I have non-visual, which to me is even a higher form of communication because I'm expanding my hearing and using image streaming, my descriptive vocabulary to paint a picture for people. But it's, if you can capture that and you practice that and you master that, these are the sort of things that will just enrich your life outside of the office. Just like you, when you know that you saved a life and made someone's day, you go home on cloud 9, and it only makes it for a better dinner and a better evening at home. And just waking up, as you say, knowing that you have this purpose and that you're fulfilling it. And so, very thankful for that. It makes you exceptionally humble, and you feel like you're destined for something more than what you're being paid, because you can't take it with you. And when you get older, like myself, who's 52, and I know, what are you, 22? You look great. And
No, 42.
that's what I was going to say. But listen, we're aging gracefully. And the older we get, Rosabel, my friend, you know this.
Yes.
There's certain things that make you even more satisfied, and you start shedding weight, mental weight.
Yes.
Things that would hold you back from being the best and the brightest. Isn't it nice? It's like unpacking big bags into smaller piles. It's more manageable.
Yes.
And you have priorities and your time. And I guess the little things that affected you earlier just don't really make a difference anymore. You become much happier that way.
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing. It's amazing what a time the difference it can make. You said it earlier. It's not the same when you're first starting. It's not very glamorous, all these things. But as you go and you feel accomplished and so on. But there's something that you touch into, and that was the bedside manner, right?
Yes.
Hopefully, most physicians and nurses, that's the hope that we can bring that up to our patients. Really good bedside manners. And just reminded me of something. I work in the neurology department, and majority of patients that come to me, they are dealing with dementia. Let's put it that way. So let's say a wife or husband come in and they're following up, telling me the story, this is happening. And then I always remember, I don't even remember, it's innate in me. I said, to me, the first thing is always remember, be human. And what that means to me is put yourself for a moment, into the other person's perspective, meaning this could be my mother, this could be my dad, this could be a family member, this could even be me. And I don't know, 10, 20 years, who knows? Right. And so because you know how we are like typing and then the patient's talking and then there's the husband. And then as I'm doing that, I'm always like, my eyes going this way and I see the sadness perhaps, or who knows what's going through their mind, like how are we going to deal with this or something. And then I look and I said, how are you doing? And they look at like, are you talking to me? You know, kind of like, I'm not. Yes. How are you doing? How are you coping with this? And I often mention today, and they probably know this, how important it is for them to take care of themselves. Because if they don't take care of themselves, you tend to forget about your own needs because you're caring for someone else, right?
That's right.
And so that brought me to, when we think about saving life, we're thinking busy ER, putting your hands into a wound, somebody doesn't die or something like that. But you, just with small little acts of kindness, by noticing, just by asking somebody, how are you doing? And a thing that I bring from my Colombian culture is something that was very difficult for me to understand living here in America is the fact that when you go around, and you probably see this in Costa Rica, when someone asks you out there, or when you ask someone there, how you doing? They're going to tell you how they're doing, right? It's not like this, hi, how you doing? Well, thank you. And it was difficult for me at first to understand that, because when at first someone asked me how I'm doing, I was like, well, and people were looking at me like, and so I'm like, I thought that's what it meant, how are you doing? And so, but you go and you adapt, and now you kind of gauge, okay, some people are in a rush, but at least you ask the question, right? So.
Absolutely. You're like an oasis in the desert. They're not expecting it, but all of a sudden it's relief. And their reaction, I'm fine, or everything's great. I'll kind of reverse it. I go, how you been lately, last couple of weeks? Because then you got to give me a couple of days, because at the moment they're terrible. They're in the hospital and they're stressed. But I want to know how you've been. And then you could even say, and you are a professional, Richard, have you been eating? Richard, have you been drinking enough liquid? Are you sleeping enough? So it's almost like you're getting free medical advice in a sense. And you could even say, which is interesting, I don't know how many people are asking you this in your family. I just want to know how you've been the last couple of weeks with the eating, drinking, and sleeping. Or do you have a routine? Are you meditating at all? Any chance to let off steam? Hitting the gym, washing the car? Because they're like, washing the car? Yeah, you need that for a half an hour. Just to... for that, as you say, if you're, besides bathing and hygiene, if they can do something like making a bed, you can ask them that question. Do you make your bed in the morning, Richard? No, I don't. Well, maybe that's a good first start. Don't stop about the beard and the hair and the shower. I mean, a lot of people take offensive to that. I look at things that are neutral. Are you going outside and getting 5 minutes of sun? Do you take your shoes off and put your feet in in grass, and you're going to
Yes.
snap them out of it compared to the other questions that they're used to. These are motherly Rosabel big sister questions. And then you're going to be like, yeah, I love my feet in grass. Yeah, man, that feels good. And just for 5 minutes, you're going to, with the sun and the grass, you're going to see that it's going to take you from a 10 to a 6 in regards to your intensity. It's not going to solve anything, but my goodness, it's like a teapot. I'm just going to let a little out, buddy. That's all I'm doing. And it's things that you love.
Yes, I
Playing
have
with a
so many
puppy or
stories.
something. Yeah.
So many stories to tell you, and it's
Well, tell me another.
sometimes silly. Well, I want to tell you because it's so silly because you know how we have this, at least I have this little fight with me, like, okay, is this the right moment or not? But sometimes, for example, one day I'm very talkative, as you can tell. And so I'm in the first floor, right? And I see this man who's getting and I see he's like worried, preoccupied. And I said, who are you seeing today? Well, I came to see a neurology, but this and this and happened, and I traveled 2 hours, and I'm like, and it was lunch, and I said, hey, it's okay, I can see you. Really? And I was able to fit him in. Long story short, something happened, right? And so I was able to see him. And so I do the whole thing. Well, it ended up being that this person was a chairman of somebody who worked along with the director of the department, you know? Somebody, again, not that is more important than anybody, and so someone mentioned, oh, and I said, hey, you know what? I did all of that before I knew who he was.
That's right.
And that's what I do. I don't make distinctions, but it's just like love, because how just asking somebody just like, hey, I see that you're preoccupied. I think that something's going on. Can you tell me, how can I help you? And if you think about it, how it all relate to what you do, having a call center, because you don't know this about me, but my first job when I came to America was in a call center.
No way. What were you selling?
Yes.
Magazines?
No, I was selling pet supplies.
That's not a bad pitch. How was the list? Was it good?
Oh, so great. It's all,
Selling
it was all
supplies.
nationwide. I can even tell you the name of the company. It was called
I would
Jeffers.
love to hear it. Okay.
Jeffers. It was in Alabama. I was making probably $7 an hour. My English wasn't the best.
Sure.
And I will try to say shepherd, and apparently they heard cheaper. And so, no, ma'am, it's not cheaper, it's shepherd.
Wow, the call center.
Yes, a call center. And then
For how long?
my next job was a call center. And that one I worked for a whole year.
A whole year, yeah.
No, I actually work in call centers more than I even think. I was selling, it was an all cell phone company called Unicell. I don't know if you remember of it.
Mhm.
That's how old I am, Unicell.
You have to admit
Maybe.
that is Division I work. I mean, when you are making outbound sales calls at a call center, it's not for the faint of heart.
And the next one was for an insurance company that sell cell phone insurance. And whoa.
Rosabel, anytime you want to come work at the center, yeah, I'll throw you on the phone for a week if you want. You want to try it again? Sure. You're so funny. Wow, call center work.
Yes.
Now you understand my game.
Oh, I do. That's where I'm like, okay. Yes, it's you're right. You have to be so and of course you're gonna find people that are not so nice and you just have to let them vent. I'm like, yes, ma'am, I understand.
Of course, your
Yes, ma'am.
adjustments of tone. Let me make a quick example on some of the training that I do. We use a thesaurus. So I will take out a word like help and put in assist, guide, and lend a hand, depending on the stage of the relationship. Instead of excuse me and I'm sorry, the hedging that people do on phone calls. They would say, Rosabel, for my clarification, was it ABC or 1, 2, 3? So these are just the little things to, once again, reduce the defense, the ego, and keep the tone empathetic and confident, because you have better shots and to convert the calls that way.
And this was a long time. Was it a long time? It was probably almost 2 decades, because I just came to the States and it was something that I did. I don't know. I mean, I needed a job. Let's put it that way.
And we would have hired you in a heartbeat.
I don't know what,
So
I don't know
funny.
what, when I start thinking about this, it's like, oh my God, I've done this and I've done that. You have no idea. I mean, all legal, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I've been a school nurse. I've done everything, a little bit of everything. I think the only thing I haven't done is I have not gone to the moon. No, no, I haven't worked for NASA yet, but I don't want to work for NASA. And so you live in Costa Rica, right? I mean, have you come to the U.S.?
Come all the time. I got family in Colorado, Arizona, and Philadelphia, and I married a Costa Rican. Been here for 25 years, and it's fun. It's a beautiful lifestyle in Central America. It's tropical and
Yes.
ecotourism, and I guess the farmers market with the exotic fruits and vegetables and the fresh seafood. You can live a very healthy lifestyle here if you choose.
Absolutely. I do yoga. I practice yoga and I've been out and I've missed several of the trips and they go all the time out there to do the yoga retreats and so on. And I hear it's beautiful. Probably my next travel will be to Costa Rica because I love island. Yes.
Sure, like there's a mindset here. People come to, as you say, lose themselves and find themselves.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of retreats out there, right? But then you also mentioned the pinballs. I want to talk a little bit more about that. The pinball machines.
You remember growing up going to arcades? Was that your thing or not really? You were reading books and hanging out with the girls.
I was writing a lot.
You were writing a lot. Well, it was better off, to be honest, that you saved money and got smarter. Well, where I grew up in the 70s and 80s, arcades were the place to be. It was healthy fun for kids to meet up, but it was a beautiful couple decades where they used to make the most incredible artistic cabinets and have marquees. And I mean, the games were just plug and play. I mean, with a joystick and a few buttons, and I loved it. It was fun for me. Now, the pinball, that was complicated. That was like an older person's game because you put a couple quarters in, that ball's down, game's over. I could last 45 minutes on asteroids. And so what happens today? Well, most of these arcades are going out of business. These machines are 30, 40 years old. People don't know what to do with them. And so you and I would grab a truck, get Joey, Billy, and Tommy. He'd drive a couple hours to Perez Zeledón, and Don Jorge's lifting up the door to his bodega. He's got 10 pinball machines sitting there. And he's like, I'll sell them all for like $1,000. I'm like, I'll take them. And what happens is that most of the placas, the CPUs and the pieces behind the marquee, they're just corroded. They're old. And you can buy replacements. Now for a couple hundred up to $1,000, you're replacing the entire back lot, and the machines turn on and are ready to play. And they're beautiful. They really capture a certain time when they used to paint the play fields, and the outside would have certain designs, and the marquees would have really beautiful artwork to it. And my favorite decade, 1970s, when it was electromechanical. We had the wheel and it was an open play field. It's much more simpler game during the 70s. So that was my favorite time, but I collected them, brought them to the office, and a lot of kids would play them, and just, it made for a fun environment. I tell you what, since we weren't hiring thousands, those that would come into the office and didn't really care about the games, I mean, we might hire you. But those that wanted to hang out and play and do well on the phone, zone level, kind of like your podcast guests, those are the right people at the right bus at the right seat. And so we knew how to hire them. Definitely.
Wow. I have to be honest with you. I will need to learn how to play it for sure.
So much fun.
I bet. I mean,
it's not virtual pinball. That doesn't count. You got to play a real machine.
Do you know what I wish? I wish I would have saved my grandma's rotary phone.
Oh, those are so nice.
The one that
what color was it?
It was gray. It was a weird grayish, kind of like had a tint of green in it. Oh. It was, but I bet that I give that to my kids today, they would not know what to do with it. They would be like, what is this?
It was just cool.
I wish I would have saved the floppy disk that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I also wish I would have saved that little typewriter machine that I did a lot of work in 7th grade too.
What, the personal word processor or something? One of those HPs or something?
No, the typewriter machine, the one that you...
Oh, the actual real typewriter. At the ribbon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you need whiteout when you make a mistake.
Yeah, and you got that little... Or the cassette. I mean, do you own a cassette? Where you have to put the pencil and go like this?
Oh, God, for your Walkman. You're so funny. Most people didn't know that.
Or, sometimes you got to tape it out and then go... Remember?
Same thing with VCR tapes.
Yes. My 15 party or whatever, it was on a VCR too. And Betamax. Do you remember Betamax?
They were much more expensive, but they lost out on the market. But yeah, it was much better quality, the Betamax.
I wish I would have saved all of those things. But
They
you know what
don't
though?
last. Those things down here got all corroded and
Right. But just
disgusting.
for
Yeah.
like to put it in there to kind of look back, and kind of like look back in time. I think we need to, I'm just going to say this, save at least 1 or 2 CDs, the CDs that we still have around. You never know.
Well, the cars I
I
drive
down
are a
to-
little bit old. I had a 92 Volkswagen Cabriolet that had an original tape deck. And this other car that I bought, this 99 CLK, has got a disc player. So yeah,
Yes.
all my old In Excess and Duran discs and throw them in there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but the Discman, the one that and then if you were running with it, it will be like jumping with
Always
you.
skipped. Always skipped.
Yes, all those things. But here's the thing. This is what I find very interesting, and I love having this conversation. Hopefully, you have a little bit of extra time, and I don't
Of
mean
course
to
I
get
do.
off
I'm having a great time. What you got?
So again, I was born in the 1980s in Colombia, right? And before the internet, before globalization and internet went big, I feel, and I'm not 100% sure, but I feel that we were like 20 years behind, let's say, the culture here in North America. And so me growing up, I don't know, a 9, 10-year-old little girl, I was watching shows that people in their 40s or 20 years older than me. So I'm 40 now. So I am very, when I talk to people that are in their 60s, for example, like they used to watch Bionic Woman or Team or MacGyver, those shows. I don't know if you remember. That's what I grew up with. And even a little bit of black and white television as well. Or the TV that you have to do that had the little,
The
that you have to
adjustments
get
and
out
the rabbit ears, right? Of course.
Yes, some of that. So it is so much fun, because they look at me like, how old are you? So I feel like an ancient.
You can relate
old
better. And I tell you
Exactly.
what, was it a pleasure to have Saturday morning cartoons? It was, but when I grew up, we didn't have cartoons during the week. And
Yes.
our computers were like an Apple IIe if you were lucky, but no one really did what they did today. So most of the time, Rosabel, we're outside playing, either
Yes.
sports or climbing trees or going on
Climbing in
adventures.
trees.
And building
Yes.
forts.
I'm lucky to walk. I'm lucky to walk, to not be
Got a
paralyzed.
couple spills, huh? A couple biggies.
Yes, I was like a tomboy when I was a little kid.
I
and
was
would
just going to
jump
say,
from
and that's
high-
cool. And
Yes.
you're better off that way.
I
To them
pretended
outside more.
I was Wonder Woman, like when I was 8. And my thing was, is I
Carter.
will jump and I will hang into this little tiny ropes that won't hold my body. And I was just like, bam. And I'll do it all over again.
My wife's the same. We still play like the
Yes.
kids when we're out in the rainforest and at the beach and stuff. And it's, no, you're not 20 years behind. What in regards to cell phones or computers? No, you were better off. It preserved not just your
Yeah.
innocence, but it
Yeah.
made more memories instead of just sitting inside watching television or on a screen. You were
Absolutely.
climbing and falling out of trees. So
And we were also playing with the little marbles. Did you ever play the marbles? The little marbles.
and people were doing the jacks back in the day, and did you do a lot of jump rope when you were growing up?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Were you competitive?
was-
Were you good?
No, it was, to be honest with you, it was more for fun. It was more like maybe competitor, but it was just like, I was like kind of like the leader and I will get in trouble a lot. Well, no. So what happened?
Back in the 80s? This is good. This is
So-
the stuff your audience tunes in for. These stories.
So here's what happened. So I
Uh-huh.
had a cousin was about 3 years younger than me. And then I have another one, right? And I was the only girl, right?
Okay.
So I was the one with the ideas. And I had a cousin that's about 6 months or 7 months younger than me, but he's very quiet. My grandma said that I will go to her and say, Grandma, the kid doesn't talk. And they said that I am the one who made him talk because, he has that, so I was all constantly like pushing him like, come on, let's do this, let's do that. And so then the other one that the younger one that came from Venezuela, I will do all kind of mischievous things. And then I always blame him. And of course, grandma will go after him, right? And then that kiddo, today he'll look at me, he's like, he doesn't like me. But like, I'm sorry, I was a kid. I mean, it was all in all fun. Poor kid.
You bring
I
up a
know.
wonderful point to not be hard on yourself, because what you were doing at 14 years old, you're not doing in your 40s. And
Absolutely.
it's nice to not have a heavy heart. If you apologize to your cousin, that's cool. Say, listen, I knew I was
I
wrong.
apologize and moved on.
And you
He
moved
apparently
on.
hasn't moved on. He hasn't. But oh well.
Some people do that too, but as I say, growing up in the 80s was a beautiful decade. What a good
It was
music
really.
and good
Oh yeah.
movies. It was a lot of fun. And good
And
hairstyles. Did you have the big frizzy hair and wear
well, I
neon
kind of saw
clothes?
that. No, there was inline skating was coming in at the time because it wasn't. I didn't fully. So I was born in '80, so maybe more into like going into the '90s. So those skates that were like the 4, and then the ones in line were coming in.
That's right.
Yeah, and so my other 2 friends and I, one was in a bicycle, and then the 2 of us will just grab into it and we'll go. It will
All around.
all over the place, and we're lucky to be alive.
No
Right?
helmets, no elbow or
helmets.
arm. No, just went raw. There you go.
And I used to ride on my dad's lap and on a Jeep. The Jeeps are, I don't know if they're happening in Costa Rica. Very
Without
common in
seatbelts.
Colombia. Without seat belts in the front seat.
Oh, yeah. Chilling.
Yeah. It was like, that amazing.
Yes. Well, it's good.
Yes.
I mean, you're lucky to be here.
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity to explore those happy times,
Well, we were just comparing of today. Your father would have been in a lot of trouble. If he had done that today.
No, he would have been in jail, probably,
Would
right?
have been in jail. Yeah. But, no, things
No
were a lot
seatbelts.
different back then. And I think, your parents would just say, we'll see you at dinner time, and just let you go out, and had no way to get in touch with you. And you had to be
Absolutely.
responsible, make sure you didn't get hurt. You came home.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was nighttime, and there was no way of knowing where they were or if they were coming or not coming. And so, yes, you had to grow up and be very, very independent in so many ways.
And go to your friend's house, knock on the door, say hello to the parents, and politely ask if you can play, and just let that's confidence building. It's very nice to make those extra efforts.
Yes, I like to think about that very much because I have 2 children. I have a 9-year-old, almost 10, and I have a 4-year-old. And it's amazing. They have a lot of toys today. And I didn't have a whole lot of toys, and I do remember one time when I got a lot of toys, but that's because somebody gave me whatever leftovers and they brought them in and so on. And here's the situation. I don't buy my kids toys. And then my husband looks at me like, it's the weirdest thing. It's just because I'm not used to buying, like giving the kids things, right? And then because of the in-laws kind of keep them all kinds of things. But what I tell them is I often sit them down and say, hey, listen, I want to tell you about mommy's life, because I want them to know how important it is to appreciate what they have. I don't want to be in the cliche, like being, kind of like our moms did. I don't know if your mom ever did to you. Well, there's some kids out there in Africa that are not eating, you better. I don't want to kind of be like that, but I just want them to know that, there's some children that go to bed hungry, and sometimes they don't appreciate what they have.
Unless they've personally experienced it, it's difficult for them. The first trip that I took outside the country went to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and my father decided to rent a Jeep. And so we went outside of the resort and we're driving all around. And I saw certain levels, socioeconomic levels. And I saw it even more when I was in Nicaragua, when I was fishing. When I saw people that didn't have running water nor electricity, that were living on the side of the San Juan River. But I've never seen happier children. And they all look bathed and clean and everything, clothes on the line, cooked and being fed, and the woman's cleaning the porch. And so I'm just trying to say to myself, you have people in the city that are dirty and disgusting. You have these people that are living right next to a river that look cleaner than can be and are happy and skipping and loving life. And so it's, the more that you separate yourselves, as you say, and put the distance. But I tell you, if I may make a suggestion, One of the greatest presents I ever got as a child was plasticine clay. It was the most amazing thing. And I loved it. I still mold things
It's
to this
like
day.
Play-Doh?
Well, a little bit better because Play-Doh gets dry and you only get so much. But plasticina,
Okay.
about big
Oh,
chunks of
plastic.
it. Right. And you can just you can just build anything that you like. And the adventures and the monsters and the
I
soldiers and the
remember
whatevers.
plastilina growing up.
And you can just use any
Yeah.
sort of fixtures in your kitchen to put in the eyes and to make things. And so it's a toy that will never get old. You're completely using imagination. It will keep them occupied for
Right.
hours on end. And it's just, I always felt besides a GI Joe or let's say a bike, which is a different thing, or a sports thing, that thing was personal. You could always just go off on your own imagination. And you were
Yes,
capable of
definitely.
creating it instead of having to go to painting and drawing classes. This is
Yes.
just clay. Everything you
Yes.
make is great. And it was just so much fun. And you get involved too.
I'm going to make a confession here. My husband just had a birthday like less than a week ago, 3, 4, 5 days ago. And I felt I didn't want to go buy another card. You know, the cards that you buy for like $4 or $5 to me. I mean, it's great. But then you read the card, somebody may save it and, you see it next year or whatever. Who knows? Sometimes it ends up in the garbage. I said, you know what? Asked my husband, say, would it be okay if we just made you, the kids and we made you a card? We took some paper, I had my son draw on it, we draw on it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Priceless.
Yeah, exactly. And I love
Did you
it.
put stickers on it, puffy stickers and stuff? That's fun too.
We didn't do that, but I mean,
love
I
stickers.
gave him a freedom. And so he created something. And then my daughter tried to put something in there. And so, yeah, it
And
was
meant the world to them.
exactly. It wasn't about being cheap. At one point, like Rosabel, and you think your husband deserves a, I don't know, $8, $10 card that same
Come on, seriously?
that you open up and the
Really?
big a person comes up like,
I bet you if you asked 100 people in your audience, unless someone is really liking those cards, 99 out of 100 would
Yes.
love to have a hand-drawn written card from you. Like the handwritten stuff from grandma.
You know what? Yesterday, when I came back from lunch to my desk, there was a little one of those little memos, and a coworker of mine left me, and it said, "Dumb things I need to do today." I loved it. Little things like that. And she said that was from my trip that I went to Arkansas or something like that. But I love it because once in a while I'll go and put something in her desk and she puts things in. And so I send her a message and I say, how did you know that I had dumb things to do today?
You know, Rosabel, if you think about the philosophy, everything you do in life should be a painting. It should never be a print. Buying that card, printing out something, sending an email, that's a print. But if it's handwritten on a sticky note or a birthday card or homemade meal, that's the painting. It's so unique. You see the brushstrokes, you know the love that's been put into it. And so I think the more that the people make those efforts, my friend, that's not being cheap. You're being priceless. Can't even compare the price of those two things.
And that's what's going to make the difference in today's day and age when all this AI and all these things that are being created. So we're going to be able to make, what's made by a machine and what's actually comes from us, so those little things, the little details, right?
I agree 100%. It's made an interesting difference in our industry. You know, the call centers, they're good for gathering, for the chat, the email support. And you and I will always be there when they press 0 and need to speak with somebody, because there is that uncanny valley. The moment that these robots get too much human-like, it's just going to freak us out. We're not going to like it. And so I see that happening.
By the way, I have a question for you, and I don't know. I just finished reading a book called Sapiens. I don't know if you heard of it. It's a very interesting book. I actually wrote an article about it. It's by Noah Harari. He's a historian. He discusses how over time other human species disappeared. We might very well be the last human species on Earth. It's a very interesting. Highly recommend. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's a very interesting book. And if you have a chance, you can go on my website and take a look at the article that I wrote about it and talking about these new things that are coming up, the artificial intelligence. So I'll leave it at that.
You were mentioning watching black and white. Besides television, I'm sure you enjoyed the black and white movies. So you got to see what Steve McQueen was doing before computers and cell phones, and Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca. And so what a wonderful thing in life. I think people looked up more compared to looking down, and they were just aware of their surroundings and were maybe more in the now. And things were much more romantic and passionate then because they just had no ways to get in touch with each other. They fell in love faster.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you're mentioning, a lot of people talk about conspiracy theories about advanced civilizations that have existed in the past that were destroyed and rebuilt again, that were a lot older than what people saying that we are, the human race. And you sometimes find like that one hammer that was found that was encased in other sort of instruments for navigation that you say couldn't have been done in certain time periods. Well, listen, I'm open and game for anything. I'm willing to, it's not going to freak me out if they're extraterrestrial.
No, it's actually a book that actually makes a lot of sense and just put things into perspective and how,
Sure.
I mean, I liked it very much.
We're fortunate to be here in our bodies for 100 years and then our beautiful souls go somewhere. And so as I say, when you're here, just dance in the rain, smile, get on Rosabel's podcast and share good stories about her getting in trouble in the 80s with her cousins. I love those stories. That's a great story.
Now, I want to hear about you because I've been talking a lot about me, but do you have any stories about getting in trouble growing up?
Of course I do. One of the worst things I ever did was I got kicked out of a private school. That was terrible. I was 13 years old and at a really nice school called Germantown Academy. And my brother and father graduated there. So I was expected. And I went to kindergarten with these people. It's the only world that I knew. And when you talk about being laughed at, absolutely, I was being laughed at. I had the worst grades in the class. I was lost. And you know when it hit me? It was that Sunday night before exams that Monday. And there's a bunch of books piled up in the dining room table and it's already 7:00 and I'm exhausted. And I said to myself, Richie, you're going to fail. And you got nobody else to blame but yourself. And that's one of those times you want to talk about that moment when you either sink or swim. I realized I messed up so bad, but it wasn't a deal breaker. I was just young and dumb. And plus that school was too small for me anyway. And then I went to a public school and it went from 50 kids to now 500 kids. And instead of all the kids living yonder, everyone's in the neighborhood now. It's kids now I get to see all the time. That's when I got in all those trouble. But it's funny when, as I say, not being hard on yourself. If I go back in time, maybe I wouldn't have failed and I wouldn't have been in Costa Rica and things would have been different. I would have stayed in the United States in the family business, but I needed that self-sacrifice in order to be reborn again. It's almost like gnawing off your arm that's, in that device. And I was set to go graduate the school and then go to Washington and Lee, which is an Ivy League, and study economics like my father and brother and law like my grandpa and go in the family business. And as much as it sounded beautiful and set up, it scared the living daylights out of me. Because
it wouldn't be in you. It wouldn't be in you.
It would have felt like a box.
Exactly.
And no matter how tasty the food would have been prepared, it would have been bland. And I also kind of saw the imagery of the people being shoved into the railway cars or walking down the pavements in the big cities in their suits and dresses, willing to go into those skyscrapers. And or as Pink Floyd says, a brick in the wall. And I understand about contributing with society and doing certain things, but I just didn't want this thing to be cookie cuttered. As I mentioned, a friend, I wanted to at least use certain medium and opportunities, but just to at least be able to paint my own picture. And that's living with
you. Yeah, it wasn't for you, and that's okay.
No, and I also learned something about leadership as well. There are a lot of people that gave up on me, certain administrators of that school, and they were kind of hard on a 13-year-old. And I don't think it was very appropriate. And the funniest thing is I failed my Spanish class, and Senor Casa, I speak Spanish now.
So you and me, I fail English too.
But it's the way that the teacher and my Spanish teacher in 7th grade made fun and made me feel terrible, while my high school Spanish teacher, Doña Esperanza Galshak from Venezuela, she wrote me a college recommendation letter.
Yes.
And she was the one that was instrumental in my career by saying, Richie, you love this. Why don't you study this? Why don't you do this in
Exactly.
college? And I was the only one. And check this out, Rosabel. Even to this day, I have a Becca. I have a second language scholarship that I do for a graduating senior at the Abington Senior High School. And I've been doing it for close to 10 years. And I'll pay for their books freshman year. Why? Because me and you, we knew what it was like. You failed and I failed that year. And so anyone that can learn that second
Beautiful.
language, you got to hook them up. You got to be proud of them and pay it forward.
Absolutely. Wow, that is amazing. I know the word Becca. Yeah.
You have to, if you're capable, and I am,
Yes.
and I want to do this, and it's making that circle complete. And you know what it also did between you and me, because we're friends? It finally put to bed that failure of that middle school and elementary school, that
Yes.
scar that I carried for so long. And well, listen, as you said, it wasn't the right place for me. And as a 42-year-old and as a 52-year-old, I see that now. But when I was 13, my world was falling apart. I had to go to summer school that summer. Yeah, summer school.
Wow.
What a summer.
I had to go to a summer school too, and I was, wow.
It's only the cool kids go to summer school.
But can you imagine? I was very mischievous. You could probably tell that. And this one I'm not very proud of, but I'm going to tell you real quick. I was actually in 5th grade. And
What'd you do?
I went between public and private school. And a little kid brought a little bicycle that had no brakes. And I was so like, I was like, give me that bicycle. And he's like, yeah, brakes on, I don't care. And I got on it and I went like downhill and I crashed. I think I even did it on purpose. I don't know. I wasn't that bad. I crashed against a tree and I don't even think I failed. I mean, I did. I just pretend, I don't know what happened. So they took me to the infirmary like a little piggy, that. Nothing. I don't know. It was fun. That's how, I don't know.
Did you trash the bike? Did you bust it up?
No.
The tree?
Nothing. What happens is they brought me there and they started asking me questions and I think I pretended I did not remember anything. And so they called that's bad. They called my mother. And then my mother's like out there and she's like, and they'll look at her and I say, who are you? That was terrible.
How long did you let this scam go for? Did you get any extra money out of it?
I don't remember, but that's how it was.
And you snap back again the next.
And then I think I just went like, just like that.
Oh, as I say before, it's part of growing up. And
yeah. I also flooded a house once. It wasn't mine though.
Story.
So I was actually younger at that one. I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
But see, looking back, it wasn't all my fault.
You're just sharpening your skills at 5. Okay, let's hear The Apprentice. What were you doing?
So here's the thing. Probably in Costa Rica, I don't know, but you know how they built the bathrooms out there where it's just like everything is in one room and sometimes they don't even have like a border or something. I don't know, the shower or everything, it's in one place, right? I don't know if you see that out there. And so they don't have like bathtubs or anything. And so I got the brilliant idea with my other friend. I said, let's make a pool. And she's like, how do we make a pool? Well, all we do is take it close, plug the drainage.
And it starts
and
to
just let
fill
the
up.
water fall. And they left up with this woman, this housekeeper. She's out there listening to her music, whatever. 2 hours, water's just falling. And we're just swimming. This house was like built in I don't know, scales or something. And then suddenly, like 2 hours later, you heard this woman and went like things were floating. They had to take water with buckets. All I remember is my mom took me out of there and she just grabbed me and she took me to the neighbor and she said, take this child before I kill her. That's all I heard.
I had a couple clarifications. So you're in the bathroom, right? And you clog up the drain, the water fills up. How come that water wasn't able to go under the door? You put some stuff there as well, so it started rising up in the bathroom.
No, I think that's a good question. I don't know, but I saw the water.
And so it goes into the house and starts raising things up. So it never went through any of the doors that usually have at least a couple centimeters to get out of there.
That's a good, yeah, I don't remember, but I do remember that it stayed into rooms that were kind of like in the deep, like there were perhaps a couple rooms that were like down. And so I guess it went into main parts of the house. Maybe it skipped a few, maybe the kitchen where the woman was, but it didn't rise more
And then
like a
question,
fit.
did you have a good time before you got caught?
Oh my God, did I have a good time?
That's the most
Yes, I
important
still
thing.
remember.
Oh, goodness.
And I always joke and I said, that woman don't want to see me until today.
If you really want to
I
grade
said,
it from a 1 to a 10, is it really that bad? I put it about a 4.
yeah, now that I think of my poor mama, I mean, like, again, it had to be the 80s because that woman produced
Listen,
still my
slow
mother.
down. As sweet as your mother is and as innocent she is in your eyes, I guarantee she gave your grandma shit back in the day. They all do, especially when you get a chance to sit with them and talk to them as an adult. They go, let me tell you about your father. And
I
then the real
think it
stories
did,
come.
I think she was supposed to be a nun and she escaped. That's what I remember. I heard. She escaped the convent. Is that what you call it? El convento?
Mhm.
She escaped.
So imagine what she was thinking during those years. She was the rebel, right?
Yes. Yes. And now that I look at this daughter, I'm just, please God, forgive me. Forgive me. I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. Now that I
Is
think
she
about it.
like you? Do you see the sparkle in her eye and the curiosity?
Yeah. Well, yeah. She's the climber. She's the one who grabs things. She's the one who you cannot leave a bag of anything because she'll eat. One day, she eaten the whole bag of candy. Yes.
You know what was cool with my parents at a young age? They said, listen, if you do this, you'll get this. Like, if you're going to stay out past 10 o'clock because you're at your friend's house, why don't you call us? And then if you're responsible, sure, you can stay later or sleep over or do whatever you got to do. And so I always used to pass those sort of responsibility tests. If I had to take the trash out by Tuesday, make sure the room was clean. I don't know, little things that when my parents, just gave me more freedom and
Yes.
treated me more as
Yes.
an adult and not as a child. And a lot of times asked my opinion on things, even if I didn't understand it, then they would take the time to explain why. And
Absolutely.
that's a nice thing to do. You can't be your child's best friend, but you can definitely treat them as an adult in certain situations where they need to see things as an adult. If someone, for an example, a lot of times people will come up and ask for money. And there's two different types of people. You got one that's like a beggar that's on crack, and another person because he ran out of gas and he really does need the $5. And you can sometimes tell. It's interesting. I've been in line, and there was one time at Subway in Costa Rica. I must have been short probably like 50 cents. And I didn't have my credit card on me. I had like, $5. And the woman behind us was like, here you go. I was like, Kay on Hill, what a beautiful angel. And I didn't
Yes.
realize that, it's not the 50 cents. I would have totally gotten her back. But, there are some beautiful people out there. And when I get a flat tire, there are people coming from the bus stop out of their house, bringing out the jacks, making sure I'm okay 1,000
Yes.
times. I've seen such generosity from strangers. And I think those are the most beautiful lessons to teach your daughter, not what happened, but you see that this man's by himself. He's got to do a car. These men are waiting for a bus. They have the time and they're just good guys. And that's what community does. And so then they'll say, okay, now I understand society better and why people do
Absolutely.
things. And we're not afraid of strangers. No, these are strangers and are now friends.
And now that you bring that up, my daughter has been asking me for, like, she's like, I want to have a sister. I want to have a sister. I'm like, of course, we're not in a position to give her a sister, but the idea came to me. I have a friend of mine that lives in Colombia that she tells me about this. I don't know if it's an orphanage or something where you actually can adopt a child, kind of like what you do with certain. And so I said, you know what we're going to do is we're going to adopt a little girl and we're going to do it together with my daughter. I said, this is your sister. I don't know, I'm in the process and see, maybe we'll send, I don't know, $20-$30 a month. We'll see this child growth, get fed and whatever. And so I couldn't give her this baby, sister, because she said, Mommy, I want a human sister. And so, in other words, turning an idea, not being like, well, we can't do it. But so I've been thinking about that.
That's a great
Just
idea.
the principle of so she can learn something,
Do they have
from
big
that.
brothers, big sisters around where you live? That organization?
That's a good. I don't know.
My father
I'm
was
not
always a
sure.
big brother, and he loved it. And it's a great chance. I mean, there's many different ways that she could
Yes.
interact and understand. But no, so smart and a nice
Yes.
thing to do where you sponsor a child. You get to write the
Yes.
letters and see them grow. So that's good thing, good
And because
parenting.
in Colombia and I go visit family there, we can also perhaps go visit the child. So that's the idea.
That's why you're an
Because
excellent mother. Well done,
because if I
Rosabel.
thank you, because I wouldn't mind doing it like for somebody in Africa, but what are the chances of me ever going to Africa?
I
Who
wish we
knows?
could adopt the world, but we can't.
Right, exactly. So we can, but we start wherever we can, right? We do what we can with what God has given us. So yes,
But
totally.
you're smart there too, because you do have things in common with that culture, and you will have a chance to see this individual. So you're being realistic there too.
Exactly.
And no,
Exactly.
that's good. That's old school, of how
Yeah.
you're thinking. So yeah, keep compiling those sort of wins. Mhm.
Yes. I mean, all kinds of ideas. I'm one of those, I don't know, you probably get it by now that I'm one of those that sometimes I sleep well at night. I do. But if I ever whatever these ideas come to mind, that's kind of like how the podcast came. I'm thinking like, how
When
do I
does
get
it
my
hit you?
message out there?
When you're working out at the gym, or when you're taking a long
When
walk, or in the kitchen cooking? I mean, it can't be at work.
driving.
Driving. I knew it. It's got to be a time when Rosabel's by herself. And so that's when
Yes.
it hits, right? That 20-minute, half an hour drive is when you start thinking,
Yeah.
I know it.
And here's the thing though, I have to have something in me because I'm one of those, like, I gotta get in paper, I gotta get it written. And I'm very like, okay, I get the idea and I gotta act on it. I mean, like, with him, like that's how I get the ideas about the articles I write, the things, the books.
What do you
I don't
see?
have
What's the first vision that comes, or is it a feeling? Is it a color? What do you, what clicks finally where the stars become
it's
aligned for Rosabel?
a feeling right here.
Okay. And then you stop for a second and you just build on that. Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
I have literally stopped my car to literally get the recording, and I record this and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I have, or the notes. Okay. Da, 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 da. Or at night or in the evening that I wake up. Like I wake up in the middle of the night, that doesn't happen very often, but if I do and I get an idea, I get up and I literally pick up my computer and start working on it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
The gods are communicating with you. Of course, you got to get up and put it down.
Yes. And it used to be a time that it used to be 3:00 in the morning, wake up with some kind of idea and put it down. And so that's what happened to the podcast. It occurred to me.
At 3 a.m., that specific
Yes.
hour too.
Yes.
Are you looking into those sort of symbolisms behind time and
I
numbers?
haven't, because I have
Please
had
do.
quite some symbolisms in the past. One
it's
time it was
consistent.
like the 11:11. Everywhere I will go, it was 11:11, the 111. And I did look into it about the different numbers and so on. But
And mark where you are, what you're thinking about, things like that, because it
guess
just doesn't
what?
have to be that specific,
But guess
It's a
what?
clue.
At least 3 of those events, when I saw the number, I know exactly what it was and exactly what I was doing. Yes.
Well, keep your
One
dream
time I was-
journal going. That's probably one of the greatest ways to connect internally, your subconscious. And it's not even sixth sense. It's like an extra power. It's pure on
Yes.
magic and metaphysics if you can control that sort of visions and understanding.
Yes.
Well
Very,
done,
very, very
Rosabel.
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I mean, this is probably going to be the longest podcast session, but hey, it's great. I mean, because I always tell my people, like, let's talk, and hey,
We weren't
do it.
born today, I'll tell you that much.
let me ask you this. I was
Yeah.
supposed to ask you a lot of questions, but I'm glad that we.
You can quick
I need
shoot.
others.
What do you got? We'll do some quickie questions.
Well, I want to ask you actually. My question was going to be, what have I not asked you that you would actually want to share with the audience?
Well, a couple things. I support the local arts, and I produced a song called Shine Like the Sun with the local rock musician Igni Faroki. And I was very fortunate to hire the bassist of In Excess, Gary Beers, to lay track on it. He did the bass as well. And we made a video, which is kind of cool. If you look it up, you'll see the call center. And I also did a rap breakdancing video at the call center as well with two agents that worked with me. One guy is a rapper from New York that worked at the center, and another one's an Olympic freestyle dancer, Jake, that is with us as well. So just involved in some fun stuff, some interesting projects.
Absolutely. Yes. Probably most of my audience don't know that I'm also a singer.
You want to give us a quick example? Come on, give us something.
Sure.
Come on, sing me something.
All right. So this is one of my favorite songs. It's called Hero.
Yeah.
By Mariah Carey. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Probably.
Let's go for it. Yeah.
I think it goes, there's a hero. If you lose your heart, you don't have to be afraid. But there's an answer. If you reach into your soul and the sorrow that you know, then the hero that I haven't sung in a while.
Yeah, your audience is going crazy right now. Rosabel.
I used to sing like Shakira too. I haven't sung in a while though, now that you say that. But let me just say this. Every time I get a chance, and I did this not this summer, but the summer before, and one fall ago, I was one time I was at the Texas Nurse Practitioner Association, and they have like a karaoke thing going on. And I have a video though, by the way, and it was like going okay. But then I took the stage, and I've sung in front of a lot of people, and I sung a song by Selena that I like very much. So yeah.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It feels good. Yeah. It's about community. It doesn't matter how well, how bad. Exactly. It's about, I saw people interacting with each other. It was fun. You know what? Behind everything, the main message I want to leave to the listeners, to the audience here today is be you, no matter what. And why do I say that? Is because growing up, let's go back a little bit about the stories I've told you about my life. It takes, again, go back to the whole courage thing. It takes a lot of courage to be you. Because when you're a child, your mind can perceive certain thing as, in my case was like, you talk too much, or shush, or it's the high energy, right, that I had growing up. But at one point, as I come to the States, which is a different culture, a culture in Colombia, completely very festive, very like high energy, come to America. And it's a little bit more where you kind of have to, to kind of blend to fit in. There's a chapter in my book that talks about that. Like I call it belonging, not fitting. And there was a time in my life where I felt like I had to perhaps be someone else or not be me to be able to kind of like, but
conform,
then something beautiful happened when one day I said, you know what? I think I deserve better to be me, not only for my own self, but for others. Because it's a disservice to me and to the other people. Because what if, like you say, just by being me, I'm helping others? Just by me being like the one who asks this perhaps uncomfortable questions, or the one who is bold enough to say, hey, how can I help you in the middle of an elevator? I don't know you, but I see that you're worried, that you're preoccupied. And then next thing I solve a simple issue that's going on. So I started adopting that attitude more and more, especially since I started back the podcast. And that is the main message. If nothing else today, listeners, you want to take from this conversation that I have with this wonderful man here, Richard Blank, is be you. Don't be afraid to be yourself, because I will say it all over again. You are unique. We are so unique. When people say, oh, there's 7 billion of us, there's so much people, it feels like we're crowded and we're like sardines in a can. And we're like, no, each one of us have a different set of fingerprints, because that makes us unique, special. There are things that I have that Richard doesn't have. There are things that Richard can give to the world that nobody else can, and so on. So I want people to tap into that and to being that uniquely beautiful you, beautiful self, and go conquer the world.
And have that hero's journey where we slay dragons and save princesses and become princes. That's what we need to do in this world.
Absolutely. Richard, it's been such a pleasure to have this conversation. I don't know if I already asked you if you have something else. I think you You probably have some more to say, but maybe we could save it for another time.
Of course. As I say, Rosabel, I had the best time. You're a wonderful host. We went through so many different topics that were so much fun, and I hope resonated with the audience. But as I say, the best thing we could do today is just share ideas and be as true as we could be.
Absolutely. Richard, how can people connect with you? How can people reach out?
Oh, buy a ticket and fly to Costa Rica. But if they want, they can go check me out, CostaRicasCallCenter.com. And, just for most people, don't be hard on yourself. Dip your toe in the pool of life. Try to drink it if you can and see where it takes you, because you only get 100 years. You got to do something with them.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. It's been a true pleasure. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. So until next time, keep your life unscripted. Goodbye, everybody. If this episode spoke to you, if it sparked a thought, a feeling, or a shift, I invite you to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss an episode. Visit www.rosabelzohfeld.com. Here on Rosabel Unscripted, we dive deep into real stories, mindful moments, and conversations that matter. Every week, we explore themes like resilience, healing, transformation, and the courage to rewrite your own story. So if you're ready to grow, reflect, and walk this journey with an open heart, hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going. There are new episodes every week.